Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the new Thoroughbred Weekly. You're on MSG Plus. I'm Jason BLEWITT. Eric Donovan is alongside. We're coming to you from the clubhouse studio at AQUEDUCT Racetrack. And I think we should call the show this week 3-Year-Old Central because we've got a lot going on the road to the Kentucky Derby. The Gotham coming up less than a week from now here at the Big A. I know Andy Serling and you, a bit later in the show on Thoroughbred Weekly, will pick apart the Risen Star from a few weeks ago at Fairgrounds, prepping for the Louisiana Derby with the Trips and Traps segment. And we also had some big 3-year-old stakes run around the country on Saturday.
Yeah, facing Tipton Fountain of Youth down at GULFSTREAM on Saturday. Also the Sham Stakes out in California. And we'll take a look at the John Battaglia, too, from Turfway. Not one of the top-tier 3-year-old prep races, but you never know. A horse might come out of there to run in one of the other races leading to the Derby Trail, maybe even make it to the Derby.
Now, Sunday night into Monday morning, the forecast called for about a foot of snow. But with the Gotham coming up this Saturday, spring is in the air here at the Big A, and it'll be nice having some top-flight 3-year-olds. We'll take a look at the Gotham preview, headline some of the big-name contenders in the race. 2 turns, 1 mile and a 16th on the inner track. It's a grade 3, and I think we've got to start, Eric, with the horse that's been the local horse and has certainly risen to the top of the local 3-year-old ranks this winter, the New York bred HAYNESFIELD.
Yeah, absolutely. HAYNESFIELD's been very good in his 3 starts here over the inner track this winter, and here's HAYNESFIELD winning the WHIRLAWay. Winning on the lead this time, but he showed he can come from off the pace, too. He won the Count Fleet from a couple lengths off the pace, so this is a versatile son of Speightstown here for trainer Steve Asmussen. Ramon Dominguez is going to be out of town, so I think Chucky Lopez has the call on HAYNESFIELD. And it's going to be interesting, the Gotham, because it's really going to be a key race in terms of where the horses draw in post positions, because a lot of them have the same kind of style. So that post position draw for this mile and 16th race is going to be key, I think.
Well, there is HAYNESFIELD. Ramon Dominguez has a commitment to ride out of town, I believe on the West Coast, riding a Court Vision and a big turf stake. So it looks like HAYNESFIELD will be ridden by jockey CC Lopez, and the water getting deeper for that colt by Speightstown. He's passed his 2 tests on the inner track this winter against open company horses, winning the Count Fleet and the WHIRLAWay. He also owns a victory in the New York bred restricted Damon Runyon as a 2-year-old over the inner track, but I don't think he's faced the firepower that he will encounter in the starting 8 this Saturday.
No, certainly not. And one of those new faces he's going to face is a California invader, I Want Revenge, trained by Jeff Mullins. This horse has some greatest stakes experience and some good greatest stakes experience, too. He broke his maiden at Hollywood in December, but here's a look at, this is the Robert B. Lewis. He finishes 3rd in this race to a Pioneer of the Nile. He was 2nd to Pioneer of the Nile in the Cash Call Futurity, so this is a horse that can come from off the pace and, you know, might have the scenario set up for him nicely in the Gotham.
A rare New York starter for trainer Jeff Mullins. Obviously, Jeff, a high percentage guy out on the West Coast. I can't remember the last time he ran a horse in New York. Maybe it was the 2005 Breeders' Cup Series at Belmont Park. Not even sure if he ran a horse in the Breeders' Cup that year. Actually, he ran 2nd in the juvenile fillies to the D. Wayne Lucas trained filly, whose name escapes me. But anyway, Jeff Mullins will be in town next Saturday, sending out I Want Revenge. And aside from it being a good race from top to bottom with top-tier 3-year-olds, I think it gets even more interesting with a horse like this because he's really got no dirt experience at all.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be his first start in the dirt. That's a very good point. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Gotham's an interesting race. It's a 2-turn race. It's a race that's not on an artificial surface. So for a horse from California, you get a chance to run around 2 turns, run in a dirt race, and see if you got what it takes to make the Kentucky Derby.
And that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner just came to me, Folklore for D. Wayne Lucas, and Jeff Mullins definitely ran 2nd in the race. Patrick B. and Cohn later bought his horse for a lot of money. We'll get on to our next 3-year-old here running in the Gotham, and much like HAYNESFIELD, we've got another New York bred in the form of Mr. Fantasy. Now, this one, a little light on seasoning compared to some of the other runners in the race, and this is Mr. Fantasy winning a New York bred entry-level allowance on the inner track a few weeks ago, back in early February. It's tough to say at this point with this colt by E. Dubai, who's trained by Kieran McLaughlin, how good he really is, because clearly at this point he has run against nothing but inferior New York breds that he's just flat out faster than, and I'm anxious to see how this guy handles himself.
Yeah, this will be a big test. I mean, not only do you have to face a horse like HAYNESFIELD, but you do have the Shipper and I Want Revenge, another horse, Imperial Council, is coming up from GULFSTREAM as well. So, it's going to be a tough test here for Mr. Fantasy, light on seasoning, only a 1 race around 2 turns, and it's kind of funny because he was entered earlier in the week, or maybe the week before, in a race going 6 furlongs and we canceled because of bad weather. So he got the 2-turn experience in the race that they came back in here, and I think that's a positive for Mr. Fantasy that he does have the 2-turn experience over
a
the
younger half-brother brother to a Big Apple Triple winner in a Tin Cup Chalice, a likable New York bred, and Mr. Fantasy starting for trainer Cam McGoffin, who won the Gotham, upset the Gotham a few years back with Like Now, who beat the two heavy favorites, Achilles of Troy and Keyed Entry. We'll get on to our final Gotham horse, at least marquee name, and that is Imperial Council, another horse that, boy, oh boy, certainly impressive in his seasonal debut in the middle of February at Gulfstream Park. He's the son of Empire Maker. This is him winning an entry-level allowance, and this will be his first start in New York, Eric, since he broke his maiden at Belmont Park so impressively at the start of October.
Yeah, we did see him here in New York a couple times, actually. Ran at Saratoga, missed by a neck to Hello Broadway when he was debuted on August 30th, came back and won second time out at Belmont, and this is a nice professional win from off the pace here at just off the pace at Gulfstream Park, but not too far off the pace. He could stalk the leaders, and I think that's he's got the right kind of fit, right kind of style for this race. And like I said before, I think post position really going to be key here to see how some of these riders attack the race coming out of the gate.
And I think in a way, aside from just being a very important stepping stone to the Wood Memorial, and you get a race here at Aqueduct, and if you're an out-of-town guy, you could ship your horse to New York, train here going into the Grade 1 $750,000 Wood. I think maybe the Gotham this year a little more appetizing with how fair the inner track's been. It's not like, with the exception of last week when Inside Speed was king, I mean, I think all winter long the inner track has been as fair as I can remember it in winters past, and I think it becomes a better spot for out-of-town trainers rather than to say, well, I'm going to ship up, catch an Inside Speed highway, and my horse is going to get nothing out of the race.
Absolutely, and I think the way the track played this past Saturday, it seems like it's coming more back to a fair surface. We'll see how it plays on Sunday. We're taping this Sunday morning, so we don't know. But another thing too is that keep in mind the Fastly Tipped and Fountain of Youth. That's a one-turn race around at a mile at Gulfstream. So you get by shipping up to the Gotham for a horse like Imperial Council, who's down in Florida, you get a chance to run around 2 turns, and it's tough to get a gauge on horses going 1 turn a lot of the times to see how good they are, see how they can handle extra distance.
Well, we'll find out how good that field was in the Fastly Tipped and Fountain of Youth, because it's coming up a bit later in the show. A big field down at Gulfstream Park. The buzzer has sounded for the Gotham segment. We'll take a quick time out now. When we come back, it's another segment of Trips and Traps previewing the Louisiana Derby.